Welcome to SLP Full Disclosure. I am your host, Michelle, and today we are going to be talking about how you, as a speech-language pathologist, can get started in this amazing travel therapy, teletherapy world. I'm going to be combining travel therapy and teletherapy into one, and we're really going to be talking about not really my personal story. If you haven't listened to my first episode that dropped, it was episode 92. That was an in-depth episode on how I got in my career from where I started to where I am today. So go back and listen to episode 92 if you want to hear my personal story. But today I'm just going to talk to you guys a little bit about what travel therapy is and teletherapy is and how you can get started in this field. So I think just the world that we live in, I see all of these young influencers out there and they're traveling and they're doing all these amazing things. And as speech pathologists, we've chosen to not go the influencer route. We are, educated. We went to school, we got our master's degree, and now what? Are you brand new as a speech pathologist? That's okay. Are you seasoned like I am and you've got 25 years of experience under your belt? If you are, just listen. And I really want you to start thinking about what is it that you see yourself doing in 5 years. If you're a brand new grad and you are, even if you're single, and when I was thinking about what I was going to say on this episode, it dawned on me that when people think of travel therapy as a speech pathologist or any other health field, they think, oh, you're moving around from place to place and place to place. And typically that's what you do. That's what I did. I moved from Mississippi to Maryland. But I've also found that working with AMN, that there are a lot of speech-language pathologists who work with AMN who don't travel. They live in the town where they work. So if you live in a bigger city, in a Houston, Texas, in a Florida, anywhere across the country, and you live in a city like that where there are lots of resources and lots of opportunities, you may not be working directly with the school district, and you could still work and be considered a contract or traveler with AMN. So I think for those speech pathologists who are listening, who are not in this field of travel therapy and who are not associated with AMN, my first bit of advice is to go directly right now when we're finished to amnhealthcare.com. You're going to find all of the opportunities that you could ever imagine on that website. If you are interested in school district, if you are interested in skilled nursing, whatever you're passionate about, it's going to be listed there. And take a good look at what you think you want to do. Do you want to travel and work somewhere for, do a 3-month stint somewhere and then move somewhere different? Or are you established, or do you have a young family? Are you married? And do you live in one of these areas that has an opportunity for you to work as a speech-language pathologist through an agency like AMN, that you could still stay at home but be considered a contractor, right? So the traveling, one of the things that I did not know when I got started was, and I remember the day that I was talking to my recruiter and I asked her this question and I had decided, yes, this is what I'm going to do. I said, okay, well, where are you going to send me? And one of the big misconceptions is that you get connected with a company like AMN and they're going to say, okay, Michelle, we've got a speech pathology position open in this town and this state, and it's nowhere you've ever been. It's nowhere that you really have a desire to go. It may be pretty rural, and it's something that you're like, that's not really where I want to go. And that's not how it works. I remember when I asked her, her name was Elle, I asked her, well, where are you going to send me? And she was like, well, that's not how it works. You tell me where you want to go, and then I look for jobs in that region for you. And I was like, wow, really? So that is why I ended up in Baltimore, Maryland, because I had never really been up the East Coast. And that was something that was important to me was to travel to parts of the country that I had never been before so that I could explore new cities, meet new people, and do all of those things. So that's the first step that you're going to take. You're going to go to amnhealthcare.com. You're going to fill out the information sheet, and they're going to immediately connect you with a recruiter. We're going to have an episode coming up later down the road, so I'm going to try not to get into too much detail about that relationship or that role of the recruiter, but I will tell you that they are paramount in this process. So that recruiter is going to be your go-to person for everything. And I know that when I first took the plunge, I was super, as speech pathologists, we're typically very hyper organized and we want things done a certain way and we've got our checklists and all of those things. And I was really worried about, am I going to know how to navigate the licensing and the credentialing aspect if I'm going to a different state that I've never been licensed in? Well, great news. AMN Healthcare, not only do you have a recruiter that's going to help find you the perfect job in the perfect city or the perfect location where you want to be, but you also have a credentialing specialist that is going to walk you through those every step that you have to go through as far as licensing and credentialing go. So they make the process very painless, and it's super exciting and it's super fun. I would encourage you as a new speech pathologist, or even as a speech pathologist who's thinking about doing something different in their career, to do your research. There are endless opportunities out there for staffing agencies similar to AMN. And I ultimately went with AMN for a number of reasons. Number one, I had an excellent relationship with the recruiter who was patient with me, because when you go back and listen to episode 92, you'll find out that it was not a very quick decision for me. It took years for me to finally take the plunge to come over to AMN and begin working with them. So do your research, find out what kind of support you're going to have, because it's one thing to have support within the company as far as that recruiter that's going to walk you through and help you find that perfect job, having that credentialing specialist that's going to be with you every step of the way and send you emails and text you and tell you, okay, for licensing in this state, you have to do this, or licensing in that state, this is what you need to do. But once you get to that district, or once you get to that facility, whether it's a hospital, a school district, or whatever it may be, wherever you've chosen, you want to make sure that your agency is going to provide support within that setting. For me, what I have found in my experience over the last few years is that AMN is top notch when it comes to providing that support that I need in the district, because I work for a very large district. There are lots of moving parts. The start of the year, the start of extended school year, everything can be very hectic. So having that person with your agency that is going to provide that support and have that contact with that person in the district is very, very important. And I can promise you, and I can tell you from experience, that AMN does provide that type of support. So I think that if you are out there and you're thinking, maybe I want to do something new in my career. If you're a new speech pathologist and you're just about to graduate and you're like, I really don't know where I want to go. I don't know what I want to do. And you have this opportunity to travel and do something different. Take the plunge. Do it. AMN Healthcare is a phenomenal company that is going to guide you and direct you and help you be successful in your career, but they're also going to take the time to get to know you personally and make sure that they understand what your needs are as a professional, and personally what your goals are for you. So if you're listening to this episode and you think you might want to do it, reach out to amnhealthcare.com, fill out the form, and get connected with a recruiter. If you do that, I know a lot of times we're afraid to put our names and our email addresses into those forms online, but just because you do that and you get connected with a recruiter and you have that conversation doesn't mean that you're signing a contract that day. So get the information, ask your questions, make sure that you've got your questions written down. Let them know what you're looking for professionally, where you are personally in your life, and where you want to go with this new journey. So, like I said, we're going to be having a recruiter coming on in the next few weeks, and we're hoping that with that, we're going to be able to get into a little bit more specifics on how once you make that connection and you decide that you're going to do it, the recruiter is going to be able to answer questions about how they work with you, how they work with the district or the facility that you're going to be working with, and where that credentialing specialist comes in that's going to walk you through all of those things. So I hope you enjoyed this very short episode today. It was not very long, but honestly, it doesn't take but just a minute to change your life for the better. And that's what happened for me. I know it took me 2 years to take the plunge, but once I did, it was the best decision that I ever made in my entire life. So I hope that if you're listening to this podcast and you've been thinking about it, or you've been wanting a change in your career, or you're just getting started out, as a speech-language pathologist, go to amnhealthcare.com. Get connected with a recruiting specialist and with a recruiter and let them answer your questions. So stay tuned, and we're going to have a recruiter on with us in the next few weeks to answer some more specific questions. I hope you guys enjoyed today, and we'll talk to y'all soon. Bye. Thank you for tuning in to SLP Full Disclosure. You can learn more about this episode and our show on our website at amnhealthcare.com. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with a friend and subscribe to our show on your favorite podcast platform. You can also find show updates and SLP opportunities on our Instagram at AMN Allied. Special thanks to AMN Healthcare for making this show possible. See y'all next time.